and welcome to our very first podcast. What podcast is that, you ask? Of course, it is You Are Not Alone, your guide to mental wellness. This is a joint production of KJLH and the Chicago School, which has been training and educating multiculturally competent mental health care professionals for nearly 50 years. I'm Tammi Mac. Hello, everybody. Let's get well mentally. Our program is committed to educating our community about mental health and wellness and normalizing conversations about our mental health. Thanks to the pandemic, right? Mental health has become an important topic. We all probably recognize how important our mental wellness is to our health and to our lives. After going through the isolation, the anxiety, and fear that we experienced during the last 2 years, it has not been easy for any of us. Our program will explore mental health and wellness issues that impact us, as well as explore ways we can improve our wellness, and that's a good thing. Every week, I, Tammi Mac, will be joined by mental and behavioral health experts who will share their experience and expertise to help us on our journey to good health and satisfying lives. Oh, I can't wait. I'm excited. I'm joined today with two brilliant, and I do mean successful, psychologists based in Southern California, Dr. Alixis Rhodes and Dr. Staci Atkins. Dr. Rhodes is a liberation psychologist, originally from Reading, Pennsylvania. That's Reading, right?
Reading.
That's what I thought. I was like, why does that sound so wrong? Like, why? Why does that sound so wrong? So you'll get me on the right track. That's okay. For sure. Reading, Pennsylvania. She currently has a doctorate in applied clinical psychology, a master's degree in forensic psychology, and a bachelor's degree in criminal justice. So Dr. Rhodes is a world traveler and has visited more than 33 countries. She is an assistant professor for the Applied Clinical Psychology program at the Chicago School and is also one of the founders of No Black Girl Left Behind. Welcome, Dr. Rhodes.
Thank you.
Yes. Dr. Staci Atkins is a psychologist and licensed clinical social worker in the Los Angeles area. And as a promoter of mental health and wellness for over 20 years, Dr. Atkins has worked in various capacities, including community mental health as an adjunct professor at Los Angeles Southwest College. I did my one-woman show at Southwest College. Yes, I did. And as a crisis counselor at UCLA Rape Treatment Center. She also has a private therapy practice in the West Los Angeles area, where her areas of clinical focus include trauma-informed care, women's health, and psychoeducational testing. Dr. Atkins is also a graduate of the Chicago School. Welcome, Dr. Atkins.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Dr. Rhodes, let's start with you. So I've never heard of liberation psychology. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yes. So liberation psychology is clinical practices that aim to alleviate oppression practices, right? So it's culturally appropriate to the population that they're serving. And the reason why that I lean more towards liberation psychology is because I like to practice in a way that is appropriate to my clients. So for instance, individuals that want practices or therapeutic services that is leaning towards their gender identity, their racial identity, that has a little bit more of understanding. That's the way that I like to, practice for with my individuals.
So it's with the understanding that whoever this particular client is has been oppressed, yes, or perhaps
marginalized.
Marginalized,
yes,
comes from an underserved community,
yes,
possibly, and has different types of mental illnesses than people in the mainstream, I would say, would have. Is that where we're going?
Yes. But we also like to treat individuals, not just treat the symptoms, but also the systems that they're in.
Ooh.
Right?
Ooh.
So we're not just looking at the individuals based off of, their depression or the anxiety, but the actual systems that they have to come across each and every day.
Right.
And the environments that they're in. So that's the way that we like to look and view the world, so that we can make sure that they understand like privilege, power, and the way that they participate in those different factors.
Oh, that's good. That's good. It reminds me of this nurse. This nurse was handling a patient, a black patient, a black woman, and the black woman kept doing this. And so the nurse, have you heard of this?
Yes.
And so the nurse went to the desk and said that the woman needed to be put in some type of mental forum or what have you, and the black nurse said, well, she's doing what? And she said she's hitting her head. She just keeps hitting her head. So we need to kind of put her in in a space where mental people are, so we can help her. And the black nurse said, no. Is this woman black? And the nurse said, yes, she's black. She said she's not hitting her head. That's the way we scratch our scalp when we wear weave.
Yes.
That's what black women do. And if you are not a black woman,
yes.
you would have no idea what's going on. You would think we need some type of mental therapy, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So it does matter when you talk about liberation psychology. It absolutely matters.
Yes.
So that's amazing. So Dr. Atkins, tell me, what is mental wellness? What is that? We talk about it a lot, but do we really know what it is?
Well, I think mental wellness is being mentally and emotionally healthy so that your mind is working in your best interest. It's so important for you to be able to interact with other people, make decisions, react to stress in a mentally healthy way. Otherwise, you're going to make bad decisions and move through the world in a different way that is not necessarily healthy for you.
What are some things we can do to improve our mental health?
Well, surrounding yourself with other people that you like spending time with, where we need a sense of community, right? A lot of people, especially during the pandemic, I think that was one of the main reasons why we struggled, because we're not individuals who are used to being in isolation. We move as a collective. And also taking time out to take care of yourself. I think as Black people often are taking care of other people and being strong Black women, and we don't take enough time because we don't feel like we have enough time to practice our own self-care.
And there are definitely more and more Black women who are caretakers now.
Yes.
Yeah, so that definitely puts a mental stress and pressure on you that's different than anything you have in your regular lives.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly.
Yeah. So what exactly is, and this is going to seem so simple for you doctors, but for us regular folk, what is therapy? What is that?
Well, it's a form of treatment like any other treatment. You have physical therapy, but it's catering towards getting you mentally healthy, teaching you how to deal with stress, analyzing maybe problems that you have or decisions that you make, coming up with ways to cope with things, developing new perspectives.
Definitely developing new perspectives.
Yeah, I like that. How does one develop a new perspective?
Well,
Can you give me an example?
Yes. So depending on how you look at a situation, because, for instance, if you are experiencing anxiety because you are about to get a new job, right? And you haven't been in the job field for a very long time.
Or lose a job.
Or you lost a job. So you're very anxious. So we will change your way of looking at the situation in a way of looking, instead of looking at the glass half empty, it's half full, right? So just having the individual look at their perspective in a way that, hey, you are going up for a new job, and that's a good thing. And let's look at different ways for you to practice these different tips of interviewing. I know that you haven't been in the field for a very long time, but what about you going for this new job feels different, right? Are you scared that you're going to lose the job again? Like, is it fear that you're experiencing right now?
Yeah, that reminds me, because there was, when I first moved to Los Angeles, I was really down and out and kind of depressed. And they say that moving is one of the higher rankings of depression and
you're losing your sense of community.
It's a big life transition.
Right.
And I was trying to figure out what is it that I can do to bring myself up to the place that I used to be.
Right.
And I found that I did like a list of when was I happy? Why was I happy? Where was I happy?
That's brilliant.
Yeah, that's
right?
good.
You developed that on you.
Yeah.
No, maybe you should be a
I couldn't
therapist.
figure it out. And I ain't have no money for no therapist.
Right.
So how do you find a good therapist?
That's an important question. So there's 3 things that you can do. The first thing is, are you using insurance or are you paying out of pocket, right? Because that's going to narrow your search or broaden your search. So if you're using out of pocket, of course, that means that's going to broaden your search. If you are within network, then you can contact your provider, your insurance provider, and ask them to send you a list. And you can specifically tell them, hey, I want X, Y, and Z. So for instance, if you're looking for someone that is appropriate to your gender identity, your race.
You can request that without it being discriminatory?
Well, you can just say, hey, I'm looking for a black therapist or a brown therapist, or I'm looking for someone that understands that I'm part of the LGBTQ plus community, and they're able to send you a list.
That's good to know that you can ask for that.
You can. I shop for all my providers, making sure that they understand where I'm coming from as all my different identities intersect. Yeah. So it's important for you to shop in that manner.
No, that's
right?
good. Yeah.
So the first 2 things is, are you looking for a therapist within network, out of network, or you're paying? Also, are they appropriate to your intersectionality, your different identities? And then 3, you need to ask them, once you talk with them, see if they are providing you therapy within, what does therapy look like with them, right? Is it cognitive behavioral therapy, meaning are they going to give you homework, or are they more cultural based, meaning are they going to look and see and try to tie in music, dance, art, just something that those...
I didn't know that those things existed.
Yes.
I would have certainly searched for a therapist that tied it in with dance, music, art,
movement is big.
Yoga.
Yeah. In grad school we did a lot of movement, and I think that helped me. Yeah. And I don't think people understand the different options that they have when it comes to therapists or therapy. You talked about cultural. So I want to ask Dr. Atkins, why is it important to be culturally competent?
Well, I don't think that you can appropriately assist someone if you don't have a working knowledge of their experience or what they're going through. And for many people, like myself included, that's so important. And I use my insurance to get a therapist too. And at the time, I don't think the websites were as savvy as they are now. And I went through all the people, and if they didn't have a picture, I looked to see if I thought their last name might be black.
Always looking for the picture. Where the picture?
Yeah, if there wasn't a picture, I was like, Johnson, maybe. Let me Google this. And that's exactly how I did
Jones, Jackson.
Right.
That's me right there.
Yeah. So I think it's a lot easier.
Yeah,
but you need to find someone who has the qualities and the understanding about things that are important to you.
Yes.
That you can connect with, because it's a very personal and intimate relationship that you develop with your therapist.
What do you think is the biggest mental health issue facing the Black community or Black people?
Personally, I think it's the stigma.
I think that of mental wellness or of therapy?
Both. Mental health issues and getting therapy and seeking help. I think that it's looked at a lot differently than physical health. Even it seems like substance abuse issues, it's a lot more acceptable to have that and go to treatment than to have mental health issues and have your family or friends support you in getting treatment for that.
Yeah, what is the stigma that's attached to that?
Well, the stigma that
why are we so afraid? What is it that we are afraid of when we tell our parents or our siblings, I think I have some mental health issues? What is it that they are going, oh Lord? You'll be all right. Just call on Jesus.
Yeah, that's it.
And I'm glad that you brought that up, because if you come from a spiritual or religious background, they'll say either are you fighting demons, or, is it the devil? And then also we can be frank, within the Black community, they'll label you as crazy, right?
For sure.
Yeah.
So you don't want to be labeled as crazy, and therefore I'm not going to bring up these issues. Or if you do go to therapy and you discuss it with your parents, then they'll come back and look at you like, I did everything that I could.
Yeah.
You're very offended by it.
Very offended by it.
Yeah.
So, and you don't want to lose the support of your family, so you just keep everything bottled in, and that is, of course, is going to spill out eventually.
We are talking about centuries.
Generational trauma.
Right, exactly. How is it possible to remove that?
Because of epigenetics. So because it's learned behavior, and we're actually transmitting, and through generations, the different traumas from, grandmother to mother to grandchildren. And I think that once we start our own healing, we can change it genetically. We can change it.
How do you break the chain? What's the first step in breaking the chain?
It's admitting, I need help. Okay. I can't bear this alone. Right. As a Black woman, not having that notion of I am a strong Black woman. No, I need my community. That's the reason why myself and the 2 other Black women created No Black Girl Left Behind, because we needed community when we were in grad school. Yeah. So it's just admitting and understanding that, hey, I do have a problem and I need help.
Right. So let's talk about the importance of the mind-body connection, which is the Chicago School uses the phrase, there is no health or without mental health. So talk about the meaning of that.
Yes, we forget that our mind is connected to the rest of the body. Like we treat it like
it's one thing.
It's one
it is
thing.
Literally one thing.
Sure. Yeah, it is. And I always tell my students, I used to tell my patients this, that I wake up grateful every day that I am sane, right? I wake up grateful every day that I have a clear mind and, clear body and soul. It's all connected. Therefore, you have to treat it just like you treat any other health issues or health wellness, right? So you have physical, you go every day, well, not every day, but every year you go for a checkup, right? Right. Or you go to your OBGYN every year or 2. So just like you have to check in with your mental health every year or every 6 months. And even I always tell people, you don't have to go to therapy just because something is wrong. You can go to therapy when something is going right, when you're going to a new level. Yeah. Right? So you don't mess.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, so you don't mess it up, right?
Now when I be going to God on, because I be like, thank you, Lord, going to another level. Yes. I didn't know I had to go to therapy on that one too.
Yes, because people, and that's another thing, people try to weaponize the word therapy now.
Yeah.
And we have to look at it like, no, you don't have to go to therapy when you're quote unquote unwell, but say for instance that, hey, I'm about to go into this new 6-figure, 7-figure job. My life is about to change. I need someone to talk to about this life experience that I'm about to embark on. Yeah. So therapy is not just for individuals that are unwell.
That is good. Yeah. Okay. All right. All right. Dr. Atkins, there are serious issues regarding access to quality mental health. Yeah. Care. So especially in the Black community, right? The brown communities. Yeah. So why? And how can we improve those?
Well, I think like Dr. Rhodes was saying, it makes a big difference whether or not you have insurance. And a lot of people in our community, we're overrepresented in terms of not having access to quality care and insurance. So that's another issue. And then unfortunately, Black psychologists or therapists only make up about 4%. So, we're encouraging people to go to therapy and look for culturally competent therapists, but the reality is there aren't that many options, which is unfortunate in terms of Black mental health professionals.
Why do you think that is, though?
I think that there's so much stigma around mental health. It's not a profession
that we choose to go into. Wow.
And that's why Black men make up less than 1%. And that is the reason why. Yeah. And that's the reason why the Chicago School, they have the 1% fund, where we're trying to attract Black men into the profession so they can be a help to the community.
So when you say Black men are less than 1%, you mean less than 1% of therapists?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I think look, I ain't no therapist. Y'all the experts, but I'm just a radio lady. But from what I hear on the streets is talking. But perhaps that is why Black men are uncomfortable with going to therapy because there's nobody like them
that represents them.
to talk to them, and they don't want to talk to, They already tell us their problems, right?
Yeah. And we already have a distrust of the system, rightfully so.
Yeah.
And like we were talking about earlier, a lot of our behaviors and things that we do can easily be misunderstood and pathologized.
Oh,
and
that's
so
good. Yeah.
that's a huge problem because that affects the way you're treated by other people, the diagnoses they give you, maybe the medication they try to prescribe you, all based on something that's cultural, but just misdiagnosed by people who aren't culturally competent.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you for joining us today. I want to thank you both, my guest, Dr. Staci Atkins, and also Dr. Alixis Rhodes, for being on our program. And we hope that you learned a few things. We ended by talking about Black men and mental health and their wellness, and we're going to talk about it extensively in our next podcast. So you definitely want to be into episode 2 as well, especially if you have a husband, a son, a coworker that's getting on your nerves and you need to figure that thing out too, right? All of that. We hope you learned something. Listen, if you want to find out more, you can visit our website. Just go to the website, and that website will be posted later on in the show. Thank you so much for being here. You are not alone. This is your guide to mental wellness. I'm Tammi Mac.
The opinions expressed by our guests or host do not necessarily reflect the views of KJLH Los Angeles or the Chicago School. The Chicago School or KJLH Los Angeles are not responsible for the consequences of any actions based on information or resources provided in these programs. The Chicago School and KJLH Los Angeles disclaim any liability related to any podcast content.